So with KD and Giannis, right, it looks like there's going to be a few of the same teams possibly going after each of them or both of them, depending on how things shake out. And that's why I think this is about to get really interesting, because Houston is obviously a team that's going to be aggressive. And they're one of the teams that has a combination of assets between draft picks and legit, not just rotational players, but even their big guy, Şengün. People feel like he could be, or at least is maybe now, a legit star, like a legit guy in the league. Very talented, very skilled. So it looks like Houston has assets, draft picks, players to put forth a trade package for. Now, Scoop B, my guy who's been on the podcast, has mentioned how Houston plans to be aggressive for Kevin Durant.
I know that the Houston Rockets have been a shark in the water, trying to find a way to get Kevin Durant. And of course, he has a relationship with both head coach Ime Udoka during their days working together in Brooklyn. And of course, Royal Ivey being an assistant coach with the Houston Rockets as well. He's actually Kevin Durant's best friend. He was in Royal Ivey's wedding, and he is Royal Ivey's daughter's godfather. So there's relationship there, them both coming from Texas, being Longhorns and all of that stuff. So, you know, it's very fluid. There's no conversation, obviously, right now. The season is still going on, but these are conversations that will linger into the offseason.
Teams like Houston, San Antonio, and OKC. I'm kind of taking Dallas out of the mix now, because at least from what they're saying, they're good with the number one pick. Cooper Flag doesn't look like they're going to make any big swings. So now it looks like San Antonio, Houston, and OKC are probably the three big name teams that are that might look to be aggressive. OKC, we still have to see what their temperament is, what they do in the playoffs. I think that's going to be a factor, but those are teams that have a legit chance to put together a legit package for either of those two players. But I do think it feels like Houston will be the most likely landing spot for Kevin Durant, based on reporting, based on their interests, and even based on fit. I think that's a good spot for KD. You know, they have other young players there. Plugging him in there gives them an alpha, you know, number one option as a scorer, which is something they really desperately need. More of a veteran kind of scorer, and, you know, elevates them right away. I think San Antonio probably has, I mean, OKC has so many picks. I think OKC probably has the most to offer of any team. But San Antonio, since they have the number 2 pick, I feel like they might have the most appealing package for Giannis. You have the number 2 pick, so people are saying that could, I mean, it's the number 2 pick. You could get Dylan Harper, you could get some other one you like. I mean, the number 2 pick is that's a high level player you're going to get in this year's draft. So, and then the Spurs have other players they can offer. I think they've got a pick or two they can offer. They have another first round pick, I think, in a couple years that they can offer in addition to the number 2 pick this year. And then obviously the Giannis Wemby pairing is like one that is probably the most intriguing. I think Giannis and Shea in OKC would be highly intriguing, but Giannis and Wemby probably feels like the most fascinating prospect of a pairing if Giannis were to go to San Antonio. But I think OKC is a, you know, they're a sleeper. Depending on what happens in the playoffs, they just have so many assets. They could send Chet. I would send Jalen Williams in that deal for Giannis. If you're OKC, if you're thinking you really want to swing for Giannis, like I would try to do, I mean, I'd probably try to do it without Jalen Williams. But if they say you got to put in Jalen Williams, I would do it to pair up Giannis with Shea. That's a duo. That's a force of nature duo that can win the West, that can win a championship, in my opinion. The combination of Shea and Giannis, that just works to me for a lot of reasons. So if OKC feels inclined, and if they fall in the playoffs, if they feel like they want to make a big swing, why not? Now, I see OKC being fine, even if they lose. I see them being fine going forward, sticking with their young group. I'm on record as saying, don't do what you did when you had Westbrook, Harden, and KD and start trading guys. I know that was like kind of a money thing, and they kind of had to trade Harden. It just wasn't going to work over time. but do whatever you can now. Prepare yourself to be able to keep Shea, Jalen Williams, even Chet, like keep those guys together as long as you can, because it seems like it's working and you can build around it. You're going to keep competing. So this time around, like I've been on record saying, OKC, just stick with it this time. Like you're getting there. You're getting closer and closer. It feels like you're going to get there. But that being said, if Giannis is on the board and if there's real interest in a deal and you can send Jalen Williams, Chet, a couple picks, maybe one more guy, I would do it. I would do it. To pair Shea with Giannis, that would take OKC over the hump. They would be in the finals. I believe that. I believe that duo would be as forceful and dynamic as you would need to build around to make a finals run. So I think that would be worth it. So I think OKC could be a sleeper. But it feels like San Antonio and Houston will be the two teams. It feels like Houston really is interested in KD. They probably will swing for him. It feels like they'll be the team that's most aggressive for him. They have reasons that they want him specifically. They're targeting him. The fit seems right. We'll get to what happens with how pieces move around and how guys move and what the roster looks like to determine, like, okay, because listen, if they were to lose Şengün, if they lose, like, depending on who they lose and who they have, KD is going to be the best player on that team by far. And you're still going to be looking at, like, okay, well, how good is this team going to be? They should have a better just supporting cast in terms of guys knowing their roles, young guys, defenders, athletes. So in that sense, I think it'll really work and be a good environment for Kevin Durant in Houston. But with the way the West is going, it's still, I mean, they're going to be right in the mix with a whole lot of other great teams, and no one's really separating themselves that much, but we'll see. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to Basketball Society right here on YouTube so you don't miss any more episodes and you can stay tapped in.